In response to those who don't pray and say Islam is in my heart, I say to them, if Islam was in your heart, you would have prayed.
Habibi, before you enjoy this video, do your boy a solid. I've got a goal to hit 7,500 subscribers by the end of June. So like the video and subscribe the channel.
I am turning 25 this year, finished my bachelor's, and I, of course, want to get married with one wife, inshallah, if God is willing to give, and I work for it, maybe four. But I would like to have a wife that stays at home and I work. And so for me, if that is in here or in the Middle East or in back home in Somalia, I need to have a certain income to provide. So I was wondering, you said get married before 30 or as young as you can. But if I'm working on trying to get an income, should I just stay, how should I, patient?
A general advice that any student of knowledge or alim will give you is if you can get married, get married. If you can, do it, right? And don't, because what is the fear amongst non-Muslims, Westerners, non-Muslim on getting married? What's the fear? The fear is, well, once you get married, you have to be monogamous. That's the existential fear. So they're like, well, if I have to be loyal to one woman, then I might as well enjoy myself first, which is because I'm only going to hit my prime, generally speaking, at around 35, 37 years old. So I might as well enjoy myself with women before I tie myself to one woman. We don't have that problem, bro. We're Muslims. 4 wives, bismillah. Do you understand?
Yes.
4 wives, not an issue. We don't need to worry about being monogamous to one woman. Okay? If you're able to, 2, 3, or 4. Okay? And if you fear being, you know the ayah. So if you are able to get married, my guy, then bismillah, go for it. If you can't, okay, no problem. Keep focusing on what you're doing. Just don't make it a big deal, because man kabbara shay'an fayakbur or takbur. My grammar, I've forgotten my grammar. Whoever makes a big deal out of something, it will become a big deal. وَمَنْ صَغَّرَ شَيْئًا فَيَصْغُرُ. And whoever makes small and light out of something, it will become small and light. A lot of guys fixate and focus too much on women, and as a result of that, they suffer from hyperintention. And hyperintention is like, you know, when you're trying to sleep. Have you ever experienced? You're trying to go sleep, and you're trying so hard to sleep that you can't sleep. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, yes.
That's called hyperintention. That's what happens to a lot of these young men. They're trying so hard to get a woman that they do everything that repulses a woman. So just don't make it a big deal. If you can find a sister who wants to marry, alhamdulillah, bismillah. If you can't, no problem. Keep doing what you're doing and keep looking at the same time. Just don't make a big thing out of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you very much. And for my other question, because men today to be a Muslim man, and for me personally, I started to get more serious with my faith and praying 5 times a day 3 years ago. And I was just wondering, like a question of iman, because frankly, I've seen some women that wear hijab that don't have so high iman, and I've seen women, sisters without the hijab that have a good iman. So I was just wondering, how can you tell the difference, and what should you look for a wife with iman?
I will say to you firstly and foremostly, I will answer this question, but I will say firstly and foremostly, the one who is qualified to answer this question more than me is a student of knowledge or an alim. Okay,
yes.
So because this is a shari'i question, this is the one that you should go to first, and my answer should be secondary to their answer. So this is the foundation. Okay, after that, I will say to you this: yes, it is true that oftentimes you can find gems. Sometimes you can find gems, sisters who she might not be covering, but she's a gem. You know, she just needs that guidance. She just needs that direction. Equally, sometimes you find a sister who's hijab, niqab, black gloves and everything, and she's an absolute nightmare. Okay, but this is also, generally speaking, an exception as opposed to the rule. Why? Because it reminds me of a famous quote by Sheikh Salih Fawzan, and he said, in response to those who don't pray and say Islam is in my heart, I say to them, if Islam was in your heart, you would have prayed. What does he mean? He means that the fruits of your iman display themselves in your body, your character, and your actions. So if Islam was actually in your heart, you would have prayed. You see? Equally, when the iman is in a sister's heart, it tends to manifest itself through her covering appropriately. On the flip side to that, if a sister is not covering, generally speaking, it's because the iman is weak inside her heart. Not to say it can't get stronger, not to say there isn't potential, but generally speaking, if the iman was at the level that it needed to be, the basic minimal level, she would have covered. You see? So
Yes.
that's how we can tell. We judge by actions. We need to see the actions. It's all well and good you telling me, yeah, Islam's in my heart. Well, my response is what Sheikh Saleh Fawzan said. If Islam was in your heart, you would have prayed.
Like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.